Well, I grew up in the orphanage with a twin, identical twin. My sister died at 2 years and 9 months since she passed in the home. She died there. She didn't get out. What profounds me is losing my sister. That was the worst thing because I was with her every day. We did things together, everything was like double, we spoke the same. But when she died, I lost all that, and then all of a sudden I couldn't think anymore and nothing was the same. That was my worst part, that's losing my twin sister. And then I lived there, and then I got adopted at 12 years of age.
What sticks out to you? Are there any really key periods in that you thought, that was a momentous?
Oh, everything, because it tells us when we started leaning forward with the Ford Foundation, how it got started when Nicole was mentioned.
Well, Lotus Place has a long history in Queensland and nationally of wanting the voices of people who experienced institutional abuse, whether that be in churches or in government, in out-of-home care, forced adoptions, child protection practices basically in many cases, but more than that, physical, sexual, psychological abuse, to basically break the silence and secrecy that was around that and to look at how they could reach a point where they could feel that there was a sense of justice.
We acknowledge and affirm the courage of all people who have experienced childhood abuse in institutional settings.
I'm Forgotten Australian, and I was brought up in Nearpole Orphanage in Rockhampton, and we had abuse. My brothers and sisters, 6 of us, 5 of us went in the home, and we were abused and mentally abused and everything else. I've lost 2 brothers and sisters because my brother died of mental health.
Picked up from my grandmother's house in 1951, put on a boat and sent to Fairbridge Farm, Pinjarra, where I was instituted. Wasn't educated properly, exploited around the farm, and I had to send half my bloody wages back, and I'm still waiting to turn 21. I was 10, but the next day I turned 11. I went to bed at Fairbridge at 10, on the day of my arrival at the age of 10, and I woke up at 11. And I left the place when I was 16. But this crowd here, I've been coming here ever since for a few years now, and it's good to see us all together and all remember one another and remember the day. And I hope to see one day that there's no more bloody institutions and there's no more kids in it.
First, it is a day to honour these people, forgotten Australians, and so it is an honouring of them. But I think it's also important because these people are getting older, and I'm really concerned, are we going to lose that whole piece of history?
Lotus Services as a cluster is comprised of 3 distinct programs, but they're connected by the common purpose of supporting people with an experience of abuse in institutional settings when they were children. So the first program is Lotus Place, the longest running program within the cluster. The primary focus of Lotus Place is to create a space in which forgotten Australians can come and participate in a community with their peers, but then we also provide wraparound practical support to assist people around a whole range of issues that are a direct result of a childhood experience of abuse and the complications that can create in people's lives.
Good to see you. Hi, how are you? Lotus Place people and the staff are fantastic. They are so good to us and to me and to other people that are willing to be nice, and they're fantastic. I've no words to say, but they're fantastic. And I really love them all because they've given me this chance to speak out, say what I have to say, even though I'm a bit of a stutterer, which I was, and my brains don't go that quick to do it quick, but I do speak fast. And yes, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for Lotus Place and Micah projects. And it's a wonderful opportunity that I was able to do what I could. And I will till my last breath.
When we're looking at a timeline like this, it's often that we're looking back and celebrating successes.
I have so much praise for Lotus Place that I'd love to keep doing it now. I've been over there about 22 years now with Lotus.
We're living in an era where we're seeing it happening again, which is very traumatic for people because they feel they had this expectation that governments would not only listen to their experience, but they would also learn from it.
If you look at the age bracket of the forgotten Australians,
But if we can't acknowledge what happened to hundreds of thousands of people across the country, history is bound to repeat itself. And that is a consistent message from forgotten Australians. So the direction of making sure that service systems are reducing their gaps for forgotten Australians to access services, and that there are specialist supports, means that there is a growing understanding of the impact, the lifelong impact of trauma based on instances of childhood abuse. It's an incredibly important component of the work that we do to make sure that history doesn't repeat itself.
I think our commitment at Lotus Place is to keep seeing how we can support people on a healing journey and on a greater sense of justice, that all their efforts to make the community aware, to engage with their families about their history, has brought them to a place of peace, which justice is something you can't define. It's different for every person.
A lot of people still don't know about us. Forgotten Australians, hardly people even know who we are. And we're trying to get that out who we are, because Micah Projects does their very best to help us all. And if we're willing and people are willing, they can get there. All you have to do is to try. That's most important. Don't give up.